ask yourself, what are you going to do 2 to 3 years later? That's not something that's going to sort of be there. Mentors and guides, very important. I don't think you should ever have a mentor that hasn't done unbelievably well. And this is a controversial opinion of mine. I like to say, even, you might want to sit down before you hear this, I like to say you shouldn't listen to anyone who hasn't made, 50 million, 100 million, $200 million. You should not follow people who have not succeeded. This is the investing in finance. It's literally the money industry, right? And there's a lot of rich people to follow. And if you're taking advice from someone who sounds like they've done really well, is really flashy, but you can't really tell how much money they've made, don't listen to them. You're better off not listening to people and avoiding bad habits than picking up, and waiting for the right mentor than picking up those bad habits and getting into a lot of trouble. Because I think that, Charlie, you could definitely expand on this, but there are a lot of bad habits in investing that people, if you get those bad habits, you may not be able to shake them for a long time.
I don't know. I think of my brother he likes to trade in stocks, and he's been trying to catch the falling knife in oil for 8 months. Oof. That's a bad habit for sure.
The best way to find a mentor, a good bad habit is not being attracted to a stock because it's fallen in value. That's a terrible habit.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn how to shake that habit for 10 years. Don't buy the first down tick just because you think it's on sale now. It's a silly and insane kind of habit. Another habit is you buy growth stocks because their revenues are increasing or something like that. There's a lot of ways to kind of, there you go, losers average into losers. Thank you, CT, one of our better participants in this chat. Learning those bad habits will really kind of destroy you as an investor. So getting bad advice is, and by the way, there are people who have made $1 billion investing who still give bad advice all the time. It happens. We all have our bad habits. But you're better off listening to the people that have made 100 million, 500 million, $1 billion instead of listening to the guy that made $1 million by accident. And now he's probably going to go broke soon. That's the kind of person to avoid.
That's so difficult to say though, because most of us just don't have access to those kind of people.
That's where I wanted to get to that, because it's funny. I like the story where I'm not sure how much of it is true, but it's a cute story anyway. Albert Einstein was a young physicist, and he looked up Max Planck's, great physicist Planck. He looked up his address in Germany, and he just went to his house, and he knocked on the door, and he explained what he was there for. He was a fan. He wanted to talk physics, and Planck invited him up for tea, and they had a 3-hour meeting. I got a job at a top hedge fund when I was 16. I think that if you pay attention, you put your ear to the ground, just the right amount, and you focus on what's important in your goal, you'd be surprised at how quickly and easily you can sort of accrue this knowledge. There are people, a good example is this guy, Palmer Lucy, who invented this crazy device called the Oculus. It's this virtual reality machine. Palmer was 18 when he invented it, and it's this little doohickey. It's pretty dumb idea, quite frankly. It's pretty easy and to have made. I regret making it myself. I tried to invest in this company, and they unfortunately turned me down. And then
that would have been a good investment.
They sold their business to another company called Facebook or something like that for $2 billion, and it is what it is. But the point is, Palmer, when he started Oculus, he was I think 17, and you know how he got his funding to start Oculus? He had a message board that he would go on, and on the message board, one of the users on the message board was the guy who started id Software, who created Doom, the famous video game.
Great game.
Great game. And the guy who created Doom, this guy Carmack, was listening to Palmer talk about virtual reality. And Palmer was an expert in virtual reality, even though he was 17 or 18. He was a dropout, I think, or something like that. But he was brilliant at one thing. And Carmack started messaging me saying, look, you may not know this, but I'm actually kind of someone who might be able to help you. And Palmer, said, let's discuss that. And they started Oculus. They created a $2 billion business. So the point is, I think if you focus and you don't, again, to me, it's also about psychology in my PowerPoint here. If you don't think you could ever meet a mentor or a guide like that, then you probably already have lost the game. You have to have some faith that, you're special, you have something to add and value, and that you're going to be persistent. I mean, if you're going to sit there and whine about how you're never going to meet someone who's going to help you, I think you have to be optimistic. You don't have to meet Warren Buffett tomorrow. That's not going to work, right? We know that. But can you meet someone who knows him? Sure. Can you meet someone who knows somebody who knows him? You start building your network, and eventually you'll figure it out. But if you sit there and whine and moan, there's never going to be a billionaire who's going to want to know me, then, well, we'll see.
Yeah,
it's absolutely true.
So, okay.